entire
I say like,
month of February.
it's
Caleb's
like,
not
I
here.
say,
Alex is not here.
like it was just my birthday, or like,
Tara.
my birthday's tomorrow.
National Christmas presents.
Kayla.
It was easy when you were like
Mhm.
3.
Yeah, like 3 to 11, didn't you want? Like, that's it.
I
Says Alina.
wanna buy these.
Tara.
Get a lot of this.
Devin.
You wanna buy barbecue. I got that one.
Kayla.
That's what I said.
Alex. Kayla. Alex. Emily. So Joey was out last week, so that's last week's stuff. Emily. Okay, so US history test number 4. Even though you guys aren't here, or some of the people aren't here,
Look at the test basis one.
these are the actual, so I gotta have Alex turn in his essays. And then test number 5. So this was the first test of
Oh wait, was this?
that is test number 5. So I just handed that one back.
This is test 4.
Yeah, so I was waiting on, somebody had not turned in test 4. So it was sitting in my bag until that person turned in test 4. So, actually, test 5, you guys did pretty decent on. Test 6, you guys just handed back to me. So that was pretty good. I got you on a couple of trick questions. Some of you missed number 24. The great number of immigrants during the Gilded Age slowed down expansion of the American industry. False. It increased expansion. Early in Reconstruction, radical Republicans gained control of state governments in the South by denying the vote to many former Confederates. True. But for the most part, everybody did pretty good on that. On those. If you have any questions, let me know on that. I think everything is back. Do we have homework for today? Sweet.
Everything's on my paper.
That's okay. No, that's okay. It makes it just as easy to grade, actually, so it's not a problem. Sometimes grading it out of the workbook is harder than grading it out of on notebook paper. Okay, so what's in the news? Anything exciting in the news? Well, don't everybody speak at once. I hate that we get through that.
Conway brushes on man for evidence on Trump Tower fire team. The brain did not process that when he did.
I really don't.
In processing is. So when all else fails, we just go to. Dredge report. Blizzard warning.
Oh, yeah, I'm not happy about that.
I saw this blizzard warning, but then I see Republicans still battle each other even after gaining power. I thought maybe the Republicans were being blamed for the blizzard. It's probably Trump's fault. McCain, New York Times, slowest transition in decades. Paul Ryan warns if we don't pass my bill, system going to collapse. Yeah, there's a big fight over Obamacare in the House and the Senate that some of even within the Republicans, some are upset with the Paul Ryan bill. They say it doesn't go far enough, and others say it goes too far. So there's a lot of infighting going on. And of course, the Democrats are, of course, any change made to the bill is, what a whine. So, yeah, so that's where we're at.
Do you ever watch The Five?
No, can't stand them.
Did you watch what? The
The
Five.
five.
On Fox.
I don't typically watch it because of the fact that actually I don't have Fox News at home, so I don't watch. I'm not really a big Fox News fan unless I hear of something that's interesting, and then maybe I'll take a look at it.
Okay, so, oh wait, no, continue with that.
Go ahead.
This is just a question about MHD.
Yes.
So my partner, Michaela,
Mm-hmm.
is in Florida.
Correct. It won't be back until after.
Correct. And Alex is a procrastinator and lazy and probably not gonna do anything, but okay, Michaela already got like the board and did her part of it.
Okay.
So I just have to okay, so I'm trying to say like, are we gonna wait for Michaela to get back to present it? Since we're all a group,
Yes, we'll just wait till you guys get back.
Okay.
So,
cool.
Wait a second.
We'll have it done.
because it's due next week.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I've been warning you guys every week. It's due, last week I said it's due in 2 weeks. Now you have 1 week.
Oh, boy.
So I hope you started on it.
Uh-huh.
Did you start on yours?
Somewhat.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah. Well, you're great. I don't care. It's, if you don't turn it in, it's one less thing for me to grade. It's an easy to put a 0 down in the grade book.
I will have it done, though. I don't know what it is, just like.
You're
You're
yeah, you're not gonna sleep this week then.
I'll probably start on it sooner than.
Hillary's team met with Russian ambassador, says Kremlin. Wait, that's just wrong. I thought that was wrong.
Oh, no, it's okay because they're Democrats. It's only wrong with Republicans and with the Russians.
So did you guys, yeah. Yeah, oh, Russian ambassador met with Kremlin too. Maybe she ought to go to prison on that one. These college students believe Muslims should have religious freedom rights, but not Christians. Okay, that's
Wait.
right.
Wait, I know why it's okay for, seriously, I know why it's okay for the Democrats to meet with the Russians and not the Republicans.
Why?
Because with the Republicans and Russia, there's a possible chance that they force the election in Trump's favor and Trump won.
Right.
With Democrats, there's not that chance because obviously Hillary gonna win. So it's okay for the Democrats to meet because there's not a chance that they're working together illegally.
Angry liberal woman ambushes Sean Spicer in Apple Store. And his reaction made her blood boil. Well, he shouldn't be like, and he shouldn't be doing that.
Oh, that
Let's see,
one.
Bernie Sanders rants. There was one that came out yesterday.
Bernie Sanders is like about to die.
What?
Bernie Sanders is like about to die.
Is he really?
He's so old.
Yeah, he is.
So like 65.
No, he's in his 80s.
Oh,
Yeah.
He wouldn't have lasted long as president. In my opinion.
That one activity page that we had. It sounded very racist to me.
Which one?
What was it that it said? One of the ones that we had today.
Oh,
It was
so there's a TV show with a star named Samantha Bee. Her show is called Full Frontal.
Oh, no.
And she ripped on this gentleman right here in one of her segments and said he had a Nazi haircut. And she played it on her TV show and ripped on a couple other people because they had all these people with haircuts like this. And so she was saying they're Nazi haircuts. Well, it turns out the guy has stage 4 terminal brain cancer. Yeah, and also not only that, he was a media person at it was at what was called CPAC, which is a conservative group that gets together and has speakers. Trump spoke at it, a couple other people spoke at it. Well, he was a media person actually covering it, and he's a registered Democrat. So she was calling this guy a Nazi, and he's all upset because of the fact that she did this without getting any facts or just basically making fun of people without information. I didn't think you had the right to publish that stuff from that kind of thing without getting people's permission. I guess if you're at it, maybe that's gives you permission right away. But yeah, I thought this was an interesting backlash. You notice Republicans, of course, are the ones that are intolerant, and yet here she is calling these people Nazis just by the way they are dressed. And I thought, as a good Democrat, good liberal, you weren't supposed to do that. I guess not. So, and it just goes to show you the more, both parties are exactly, in this case, are very identical. They both poke fun of the other side, and in many cases, it's ridiculous. I have to give credit, though, to many on the Republican side. Now, there were some that didn't, but most of the big name Republican or conservative commentators never made fun of the Obama children. And it's pretty sad that they've been poking fun at Trump's one son, who's like 10 or 11 or 12, something in that age. Well,
Barron.
yeah, Barron. Yeah, I think that's just, I think it's just wrong when we do that. So.
The poor kid probably has Tourette's syndrome and ADHD.
What kid doesn't?
Well, it just kind of depends on the severity of it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I see is almost every kid today seems to have that kind of supposed problem, unfortunately.
And I don't think every kid has Tourette's syndrome.
Not Tourette, but ADHD. So, state lawmaker in Texas have proposed an unusual bill targeting men's. Never mind. They're trolling. That's just funny.
You're like,
Yeah, never mind. Michael Palka thinks he knows the real reason why Nancy Pelosi is trying to delay GOP healthcare bill. Because she's going to resign and doesn't want to be under the health. Former Secret Service agent reveals the truth about whether or not Trump is safe in the White House. Oh, did you guys hear somebody jump the fence?
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't even know if Trump was in the White House, actually. A couple times one time when Obama, somebody jumped the fence. I don't think actually anybody was in the White House during Obama's time. One of the times that he was there. So. Let's see, I'm not sure. I don't think there was really much. Of course, the blizzard coming. Prepare, big snowfall, big time snowfall. No, I don't want to share my location with you. See what they have to, see if they can say anything good. Blizzard warnings issued as Winter Storm Stella, and you know, they're naming winter storms now. Like they used to just name hurricanes. Now they're actually naming them, now they're actually naming winter storms. So if you have a big winter storm, they're gonna give it a name. It's like,
I like when you do that. It's kind of cool.
you like when they do that?
Yeah.
I think it's just weird.
It's just cool. It's like, hey, remember this storm? Like,
Were we gonna start naming individual tornadoes?
yeah.
750 of them every year.
Fine. Fine. Like really bad ones.
This is.
Okay, really bad ones, that, I can see that.
It's like, I just have to feel bad for the people who have that
So-
at that moment.
Notice we have winter storm warning near us. Surprise, Buffalo. We have a blizzard warning from Boston all the way down New York and in there for a blizzard warning. And then, of course, we're under a winter storm watch for where we're at. So be careful, you might get a lot of snow.
It's March.
Snoop Dogg assassinates Trump in new rap video. Don't you think he should go to jail? I mean, can you imagine if a conservative rapper had talked about killing Obama? Probably be in prison.
Of course, constitutionally, the both have the right to do, so.
No, you do not have the constitutional right to kill the president. No. Or even to suggest killing the president. It's not protected free speech. It's a threat on the president of the United States, and they take it seriously.
What about like, what president?
You cannot openly say, I'm going to kill the president.
Oh, they like said that they were going to.
Yeah, that's what he does in the video. Isn't that kind of like Snoop Dogg assassinates Trump in new rap video? I guess if you burn the person in effigy, that's one thing, but if you actually go up and do it. In fact, I for a while there, I was very frustrated with Marvel Comics, because in one of the Marvel comics, they had the comic book character Punisher broke into the White House and goes up to President Bush in the comic book and sets a bullet down on the desk and said, if he doesn't behave, that's for him. It's like, whoa, dude, you're threatening the what does that say to the readers of your comic books? We don't do that. It's the same thing here. Now, what if somebody takes Snoop Dogg's rap video seriously and tries to do the same thing? I'd use that as a defense if it was Snoop Dogg made me do it. It was subliminal messaging through his rap music.
Well.
If I was a defense attorney, that'd be what I'd try to do for my defense, victim, or I shouldn't say victim, the perpetrator, or my client. So,
It just seems like something's very wrong that they're not allowed to make videos like that. I know that if they were seriously going to threaten that they're going to kill the president, okay, I can see where that would be wrong. But making a video like that, why is wrong morally? It's almost like the government's like, how far can you intrude on their freedom of speech before they come back at us? You know?
but how far are you allowed to have freedom of speech before? Can you go into a crowded movie theater and stand up and yell fire? Why not? Free speech. Free speech.
If there's not actually a fire,
But I should be able to say whatever I want.
but
The movie theater should be able to ban it from the movie theater.
No, he actually should go to jail for causing panic and people possibly getting injured. You can't go into an airport and yell gun.
I remember there was something else in the news. Isn't it like Disney going gay?
Well, yeah, the new Beauty and the Beast movie, there's a lot of controversy in the new Beauty and the Beast movie because the director of Beauty and the Beast is openly gay, and there's one scene in the movie where there's a gay moment in the movie.
Basically, like, two guys are dancing together, and it's not like stupid guys dancing being stupid like
Is it like
people do. It's like,
like a waltz?
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's a waltz.
So, I mean, the thing is, they have found a box office, movies that are overly gay, agenda do not do well in the box office. And so I think this will really hit, that could potentially really hit Beauty and the Beast. The sad thing is I'm sure, when Disney, in Disney's company, in his bylaws, the early days, he would not allow anything, I don't think, they could not use the Disney name for anything rated R, was his standard. I don't think he would go for PG-13 today. He was all about the kids. And I think he would be seriously upset.
Was he alive when Ariel was made? No, he
Yeah.
wasn't then.
Okay, I don't think he would have approved of that either.
When did he die? He was born in the 50s, wasn't he? I guess he's still be alive.
So Walt Disney, he died in 1966. So he was born in 1901. So he is a huge smoker.
Oh, it's Disney.
So, he revolutionized, Snow White, Cinderella, Fantasia, which some people say Fantasia was specifically written for the drug culture. You're supposed to watch Fantasia when you're high on LSD.
Yes,
So that's,
I understand.
some people believe that, but I don't necessarily believe that that was what the intent was, but I think that was like one of the other things. So, yeah, it's sad that we have to be bombarded with stuff like that. It's just like the same thing with these actors making political comments, and it's like, dude, shut up. You have the right to say it, but you know what? As Michael Jordan said, the other side buys products too. And so, if you want to market yourself, you don't have you then give up the right to make comments on certain things. You can vote, you still have the right to vote, you have the right to endorse a candidate. But you can't be out there saying a candidate's stupid, you can't go out there and saying the other side is complete idiots. That's where I think what Jordan was talking about when he said, you gotta be careful what you say, and you don't want to be divisive. I can't think of the guy's name. There's a great book out. I haven't only read bits of it. It's called I think it's The Loss of Civility. And it's, I think Os Guinness wrote it. And he's a well-known Christian thinker. And basically he talked about the idea that we've lost the ability to have conversations, being civil. That now we've gotten to the point where at the pro-Trump rallies just recently, there were some anti-Trump people. And what happened was in Berkeley, they attacked the pro-Trump people. And I think some poor old guy got pepper sprayed and a number of people were hurt. So, yeah. So it's just sad that you can't go and support the people you want. My personal thing is, by working, I am supporting the people that I support. Going out and earning money. I don't have to go have a rally somewhere to show my support. But it seems like everybody thinks that these days. So, okay. Anything else in the news?
Beauty and the Beast thing.
Yes.
The whole, issue. Being one who supports the legalization of gay marriage. I really don't really find a problem with it. But my dad does. Therefore, isn't it?
Well, I'm not for the legalization of gay marriage because marriage by definition is a union between a man and a woman. That's the definition of marriage. So now we started polluting what marriage is. And marriage has a history that goes back to the beginning. And if we start saying that, well, gay marriage, well, now you're starting to define what marriage, you've lost the word. A great example of that, when I say gentleman, what does that mean?
Nice dude.
Right. But when in the 1800s, when I said gentleman, what did it mean?
That you were trying to command attention.
No. Gentleman was someone of noble birth, was a gentleman. And a lady was a woman of noble birth. Now today it means neither of that. And we've lost the usage and the true meaning and definition of those two words. So now we say ladies and gentlemen, we mean ladies and gentlemen. We don't mean what it originally meant. So we're in that same slope of going down, losing the definition. This is the problem that I have with, your church family. No. Family is a husband and wife and their kids, and people actually related to them. The church is a community. There's a difference, different responsibilities, different meanings. A family implies a certain level of commitment that I have to give to my family. I don't have to give that same level of commitment to the church. I'm not commanded by God to do that. I'm commanded to give God, you look at what God said about where we are. Now, Jesus says, redefines what the responsibilities are and how we're to treat each other as if we're part of the same family. But by definition, it's not the same. And I think we lose the ideas, and when we go to, it's like fellowship. Fellowship is not necessarily, that's part of meeting with other people, and we understand that. So we got to be careful how we use words. So if they want to have civil unions, then I'm fine with that. That's a new term, that's a new definition. It's what it is. But gay marriage, by definition, does not exist.
Well, what should stop one church? Yes, the church is very much understood that they are united in Christ and such, but let's think in terms of the way the government sees it. So the government, why should the government, not the way the government sees it, the way the founding fathers have seen it. Why should the government be interfering with the church to grant one couple the privilege of calling a marriage blessed by God, even if it is sin? Why should the government get involved there?
I agree. Actually, marriage is not, it should not be in the realm of the government. And what's happening, though, is the gay community actually wants marriage in the government control. They don't want it under church's control. They want it under government control. The reason being is if I say gay marriage is legal, now all of a sudden we have the issue with the bakers. I'm sorry, I can't bake a cake for this celebration.
But
Discrimination.
they should have freedom to do that.
No.
See, the government shouldn't be involved
Right,
in
the
that.
government should not be involved in that, but the government, but the gay activists want the government involved. And if you look at that story, the couple that wouldn't bake the cake for the marriage, they baked cakes for this couple long, long before this issue came up. They just said we could not bake the cake for this celebration because of our religious beliefs. But they got sued and they lost.
They should have the freedom to be able to say no, yes, yes, no, whatever. Even if they're discriminating against race, sex.
Oh, I don't disagree with you, but that's not where they want to go. It's all about political power. It's all about winning. And they and the gay activists believe if they can win the argument in the legal system, then they'll have acceptance. And the problem is they won't have acceptance. They're getting more and more of a fight than what it is. But that's fine, because the Democrats love that, and the Republicans, because they can say they're pro-gay, and they can say they're, pro, or not, I shouldn't say, pro biblical standards, and then you end up with, the people donating money to either side. So actually, both the Republicans and Democrats love the dissension between the people. And we've allowed people to put us into these groups. And so that then it pits us against one another. So then we never actually look at the real issue, and they get away with doing the things that they do because we vote based on single issues. And that's what gets us always in trouble.
Really the national government should not be involved in this because marriage is constitutionally up to the state. So
Right.
the way I see it, I want it to be legal, but I want it to be on state level.
Okay, so we can be idealistic and say the government should not be involved, but they are. So how do we deal with it because they are?
There it gets tricky and it starts.
Correct. That's where it becomes the issue. It's one thing for us to say, freedom of speech for, this and free to do that, and it still comes down to who's going to win, where is it in reality? And the government is now involved in marriage. And the ultimate goal will be is to go after churches. They will go after churches. I have a pastor who said, the minute they require a church to do gay weddings, he's done. He will go to jail because he will refuse.
I think with Trump in office, things might be different.
I-
That's only temporary, so we're looking at the immediate
Right.
future.
And the thing that you have to remember is liberalism does not care about how long it takes. It's a slow, continuous push. We had 8 years of Reagan, and then 4 years of the first Bush. But look at what happened when Clinton got in office. They tried healthcare. It failed. But he was in office for 8 years. Then another 8 years of another Bush. And then Obama gets in office. Guess what? Healthcare passes. Took how many years? 92 to 2000 and something? Over 10, almost 18 years, I want to say.
Like,
Is
that's
how
why
long
I
it
think
took.
Trump is awesome because he can work like a Democrat and think like a Republican.
Well, we
He knows how to,
hope.
like,
We hope.
Hopefully.
We're still not even through the first 100 days yet, so we'll see.
Because like the secret that the Democrats have is that they're able to push. They know how to push hard and in the right places. They know how to manipulate.
Well,
the system. And the Republicans are going back and saying, I'm going to try to be the peacemaker.
Well, notoriously, Republicans have less of a long-term view. Democrats have a long-term view. And I don't mean the Democrat leaders, I mean the Democrat voters.
Mm.
They seem to vote long-term. Republican, if Trump doesn't succeed in the next 4 years, voter turnout will be down and he will lose the election. Obama did exactly what he said he would, and they still voted for him even though things were worse than when he took office. Because long-term thinking, Republicans, if that had been a Republican like George W., the first Bush, George H., been voted out of office. Read my lips, no new taxes. It's his famous line. And he raised taxes, got voted out. So Republicans have more of a point of actually getting rid of people than do the Democrats.
And then like you get an honest guy who comes up and he's like, okay, I can't do this. I'm sorry, I can't do this. You know, he's being honest.
Right.
No, people don't want somebody who's saying,
Right.
oh, you
And so
can't
then
do that.
you'll
Well,
lose.
find somebody who will.
Right.
Or they really can't, but they say
Right, which is why we ended up with Trump and not,
Rubio.
Ted. Yeah,
Well, Ted Cruz supported Monsanto. That might not matter, but it does matter to me.
you're not gonna get 100% on somebody. And if it's one issue that's sticking at you, you better write a list of where do these candidates stand on things. So, okay, 1930s, the years of the Great Depression. So I wanted to kind of give you this overview. This is kind of a little timeline of, we had Wilson was president from 13 to 21. And last week I spoke a little bit of the Depression of 1920, which ended in August of 1921. Well, because of that Depression, we had, of course, Harding becomes president. And one of the things that Harding wanted to do under Coolidge was his VP, and Andrew Mellon was his Secretary of Treasury. They both wanted to cut taxes, cut government spending. So very quickly when Harding gets in office, he starts doing that. And by the end of August 1921, we start seeing an uptick in our economy. So Coolidge, of course, Harding dies in office on August 2nd, and Coolidge takes over on August 2nd in 23. And he remains president till March 4th, 1929. And then what you remember in the chapter on the 20s, so much excess going on, speculation, all these things that led up to, buying a credit, buying a margin, speculation, over committing, consumer debt, so many things that led up to the Great Depression, the actual collapse, or what they call Black Tuesday, which was October 29th, 1929, which starts the Great Depression. And of course, that's only really, not far into, Hoover's administration. But Hoover, even back when he was under the Harding administration, when Hoover becomes president, what does he try to do? He starts passing things and starts having government intervention to fix the Depression. And it doesn't work. We go so in 1929, so we're three years into the Great Depression and Hoover's failed policies. And then Roosevelt becomes president in 33 and takes office. And what did Roosevelt run on? The New Deal, right? And then after Roosevelt, in September 1st, 1939, is actually when World War II begins, which we'll get into World War II next week. So in this, the Great Depression, it's kind of sad. It's like blaming Bush for the attacks on 9/11. Not totally his fault. Again, the attacks of 9/11 were not totally George Bush's fault, nor were they totally Clinton's fault. It was a number of mistakes that led up to those. Same thing here with the Great Depression. It is a number of mistakes, a number of issues that lead up to the Great Depression. But of course, Hoover gets the blame. And even today, in many aspects, when we think of the Great Depression, we blame Hoover. But we also named a dam after him, the Hoover Dam. It's actually named after Herbert Hoover. Anybody know why? Because it wasn't originally the Hoover Dam. Because I think he's the first engineer president. So, and he also had a huge I'm thinking, the Hoover Dam, I'm trying to remember when it was completed. I haven't been there in so long. It's an amazing place to go see. Anybody been there? Oh, wow, it is so cool. It is one of the great things to just stand over and look down the side to the bottom. So it was completed, it started construction in 31. So it all actually started under Hoover when it was started being built. You could go visit it. Again, it is pretty neat just to see that. The one thing that you will notice is the water level continues to decline there though, because there's so many other dams along the river, Colorado River, that leads up to Lake Mead and the Hoover Dam. And also all of the usage by Las Vegas and these other places along the way, that they're actually, the water level of the Hoover Dam continues to go down. So, but yeah, one of his great accomplishments, getting that started in 31, and I think also it started, when did he become president? Yeah, 29. So, yeah, it's one of those things that he worked towards. I think he even started this when he worked in Harding and Coolidge administrations. Too little, too late. I don't like the name of that subheading, too little, too late, public works, government involvement, work relief, reconstruction finance corporation. All of these things are government interventions. And you'd think he would have learned from Harding that cut taxes, cut spending, government spending, will actually spur on economic growth. What concerns me a little bit with Trump is he wants to do this $1 trillion stimulus. Now, granted, he doesn't want to do the $1 trillion stimulus by raising taxes or increasing spending. What he wants to do is he wants to cut spending from all these other departments so that he can take the $1 trillion and have that extra money to spend on $1 trillion on the stimulus. I think he cut something like $300 million out of the EPA alone. So if he does that kind of cuts over a period of time, you might see some increase in, you might see some benefit. But again, it really needs to be, we really need to have some tax reform like what Reagan did and Harding did, and cut taxes. So you have, of course, demand for change, the bonus army, FDR, and FDR's New Deal. You know, FDR was his, what was Teddy's, you guys remember what Teddy's slogan was?
Big stick.
The big stick was one of them, but the other one was the square deal. Give Americans a square deal. And FDR was the New Deal. Chicken in every pot. You're gonna feed America. We're gonna fix things. We're gonna make sure that everybody's successful in America. And again, that is very, very much a communist type view. And really, FDR, they would call him a progressive, but in many respects, they idolize men like Mussolini. Mussolini in Italy was a fascist, and they marveled at the fact that, you know, Mussolini was known for getting the trains to run on time, government intervention, and this was the idea at the time. It was being thought by the intellectuals that if we could control, we're so smart, if we could control the economy, we could keep all this from happening. And what they forgot is human nature and our sin nature, and that humans, when you put humans in control, men in power, then what happens is they then abuse the power. And that's what happened in communist Russia. They put to death all these people that would oppose them, and it leads to a dictatorship. look at what happened in Nazi Germany. And in reality, the sad thing is, if we truly look at the origins of fascism and those things, it really comes out of the United States. And it's Germany and Italy that take it to the next extreme. So one of the, we have to be careful what we talk about and what we think, in the sense that we have to look at those unintended consequences of them. And of course, at this time, anybody ever seen the movie Expelled? You guys should watch it's a documentary called Expelled. It's based on the idea of the scientific community and how science is not able to talk about things like, what was it? The big thing that he talks about in there is evolution and creationism and being able to teach that. But he also spends a lot of time looking at eugenics and Nazi Germany and some of the things that went on there. And we find out that eugenics actually has its origination here in the United States. The founder of Planned Parenthood, she was huge on eugenics. In fact, Planned Parenthood's initial start was really to eliminate the undesirables and purify the gene pool. Now, does that not sound like Nazi Germany? Yeah, it does. So, we need to examine ourselves at the same time. A tendency in the United States is to look at Nazi Germany as this separate entity. There are a lot of people here in the United States who had the same views, same ideas, and they were just executed, though, in Nazi Germany to a much greater degree than what we were doing here. We were sterilizing blacks. Think about the fact that even if we look at today, what do we do? Planned Parenthood wants funding today, right? What do? They mostly in the inner city. They mostly go after low-income women. And they perform abortions. So again, I just wanted to recap the Depression of 1920. Herbert Hoover was Secretary of Commerce. Yes.
So I'm pretty sure it was either Obama or Hitler's mother. I can't remember. There's distinguish between the two at the moment, but that their mother considered abortion, but the doctor talked them out of it. Pretty sure it must have been Obama. Because
I don't know. I hadn't heard that story on either one of them. I'd have to check on that. Yeah, Andrew Mellon was Secretary of Treasury. Harding decided to cut spending by 50%, cut tax rates. Harding encouraged thrift and economy for all. The Depression was over by August 1921. It lasted roughly 18 months. And it really only lasted 6 months after Harding took office. So you can see the effect that doing stuff like that has. Another example of something like that is Ronald Reagan in the 1980s when he's elected president. He decides they're going to pass tax reforms, but what does he do? He decides that, well, we're going to pass it, but it won't take into effect for 6 months. So what happened for that 6 months? Economy took a drop because everybody started waiting till the tax cuts came into play before they'd start buying and stuff and doing expansion. So government has a huge impact on what it does and how it does the taxes. One of the things that I wanted to show you was, okay, so unemployment was below 5% in 1929. It starts to go up and it reaches a peak of over 25%, but that's right around 1934. Who was president? 1934. FDR was president in 1934.
I was getting
I was
there.
going to say that.
Yeah, 33 was the last year, the beginning of 33 was the end of Hoover. So you have most of 33 and all of 34 are under FDR's New Deal, but yet it still continues to climb, the unemployment rate. Think about that. 18 months into FDR and all of this government stimulation, all this stuff causes more unemployment. Harding, within 6 months, had the economy working again. Doesn't go there. Also, so then unemployment starts to decline, and by somewhere 35 or 37, right in there, it gets below 15%. But then it jumps back up again. And I have another chart to show you that. And it really doesn't start falling, truly, till just before, this is probably 39, 38, 39, and then 40, it starts coming down. Well, why does this start coming down in 40s? Start having the build up for the war. You start seeing things going on, and so people start getting ready for potential battle. And then it reaches its low point in 45. In fact, it's so low in near 45, women are having to work in the factories. And that's because there's all the men are going over, all the working age men are going overseas and are training to fight. So just look at some of the things from FDR. He really tried to, the one thing that that FDR did that was tremendous is he was a great inspirer. He could give the speeches. This is why he could repackage the New Deal, which was really Hoover on extreme, and win elections, because he gave people confidence that things could change. Sound familiar? Hope and change? That was Obama's slogan. So see, things repeat themselves. Trump, make America great again. You know, so you got to be careful of slogans. Some of the things that he did: a bank holiday, ABCs of the New Deal, relief, recovery, and reform. He kept pushing it: relief, recovery, reform. Roadblocks and pitfalls. He had some opposition from the right, but he also had some opposition from his own party on the left as well.
So if like hopeful slogans like "Make America Great Again," New Deal, stuff like that, if those shouldn't be used.
I'm not saying they shouldn't be used. I'm saying we need to be discerning enough that, is this a slogan or does this have real meaning? So when Trump says "Make America Great Again," what does he mean? That's what we need to ask ourselves. What does he mean by "Make America Great Again"? Does he mean we're going to cut taxes, we're going to bring manufacturing, things that he taught? You got to get to the specifics. The problem with like Obama is Obama said hope and change, but he never put specifics to it. And see, that's the difference. And those people who weren't just glomming on the fact that we could have the first African-American president, we're looking at that going, what this guy's saying, hope and change, and what he means is a totally different thing.
Like the sirens are going off in their heads.
Right. One of the things that he ran into problems with is, of course, he wanted to pack the courts because some of this stuff was going to be determined unconstitutional. He didn't have the authority. He threatened to add 2 more, raise the number of Supreme Court justices from 9 to 11 so that he could win a majority of the court. So it was currently 5-4 against him. He adds 2 people to the Supreme Court. It now becomes 6-5 his favor. So, but that is looked at as actually pretty negative. People did not like that.
Well, I mean, you gotta give him credit for finding a way around the law. I mean,
Oh,
the Constitution is so set
Well,
up,
but here's the thing. Rather than just passing it, and he uses the Constitution to solidify it. Today's day, politicians just totally ignore the Constitution. At least FDR and these guys came up with constitutional ideas of why it was constitutional under the General Welfare Clause in the Constitution and some different things is where they would see this, which I, as a strict constitutionalist, would disagree. So one of the things that I wanted to read was this. Despite his impressive victory in 36, Roosevelt still faced major problems. 4 years after he took office and initiated his myriad of New Deal's programs, the nation was still beleaguered by severe economic depression. Despite his having spent more in his first 5 years, he spent more money in his first 5 years than all presidents before him. When Roosevelt took his oath of office again in 37, he still saw 1/3 of the nation ill-housed, ill-clad, and ill-numbered. So even under that, he was still under problems. The other thing, we can look at this as, I love the title, Worst of Times, Best of Times. The thing that I want you guys to get an idea of where the Great Depression was. So this is, if we look at the dotted line here, is where the traditional growth in our GDP should be at. Here's where we were when the Depression hits. It falls. We lose all this value. So Franklin takes office. Here's that little blip of a recession, 37, 38. Remember we saw the unemployment go back up? There it is. That's it. In this little drop in our economy again ties with that. But then you start to see growth. But again, why do we start seeing growth? It's the war. The war is what actually gets us out of the Great Depression, not FDR's policies. The sad thing is, if we hadn't had the war, we would have proven once for all that FDR policies did not work. As a war president, FDR was tremendous, other than his deal at Yalta, which we'll get into next week.
And the fact that he died halfway through.
Well, that's okay. Truman was an excellent president when it came to the war. So, okay, we'll start economics here in a few minutes. I think they're at the door.
You want me to let them in?